Hey guys, hope everyone's having a good week so far. We are going to continue with economics, getting into our second lesson here. So today's lesson is going to look a lot at government involvement in economics and how governments get involved. Do governments get involved? And what is the difference in two types of economies where government is fully involved and government is not really involved at all? Today's lesson is going to be a little bit more student led. So it's going to be you guys reading, responding, rather than me just sitting here and talking to you for the next 30 minutes. All right. So, what you need today, a pen or a pencil, as well as your handout, which looks like this. Economics Lesson 2, the role of government in economies. If you don't have a handout or are unable to print one out, please just grab a couple blank pieces of paper and I'll give you guys time to copy down what it is on the screen and what it is that we are looking at. So let's get after it. Your agenda today. First things first, you guys are going to go through a warm up or a think about it question, just something really quick based on the earlier lesson from this week. We're going to do a read aloud as a group. Then we've got an activity that you guys are going to do comparing two different types of economies. We've got a video for you guys to watch. Unrelated to this video here, but it is part of the lesson overall. We are then going to go through two quick sheets in your handout. One of them is looking at what can happen if we have what's called a pure market economy. And then the second one is going to be the US government's role in the US economy. And we're going to look at kind of what the US government does, how it gets involved in our economy. And then we're going to wrap everything up. You guys will go off on your own and complete an activity. It's a read and respond activity where you will be analyzing an author's viewpoint on the government's role in the economy. Your Google survey is based on that reading. So the questions on your Google survey are going to be based on your last activity. Okay? So here we go. Your warm-up think about it question. What are the three main economic questions all countries have to answer? Take 10 seconds, see if you can remember at least one. If you can remember all three of them, fantastic. The first question or economic question that all countries have to answer is what goods or services will be produced? So countries have to look at what their resources allow them to produce and say, okay, what are we going to produce with these? The second question, how will the goods and services be produced? So we're thinking about what ways are they going to produce them, what's going to be most efficient, and then lastly, who will consume the goods and services? So who will have access to these goods or services, who can afford them? All right, so governments and countries create economic systems to answer those three questions. And those economic systems are what we're going to be exploring today. Please go ahead and open up to your handout. We're going to take a look at the big idea card, and then we'll read through your word cards and get into our read aloud. So, Economics Lesson 2, the role of government in economies. On your big idea card, we've got 6 big ideas today. Bullet point number 1, all societies have to answer the 3 main economic questions: what to produce, how to produce, and who should get what is produced. Again, going back to our warm up, thinking about countries creating economic systems to help answer those questions. Bullet point number 2, different types of economic systems result when different groups of people have the power and authority to answer the 3 main economic questions. So this bullet point makes me think back to when we looked at different types of governments, when we looked at dictatorships and monarchies and theocracies and democracies. And it looks like that different groups of people or different leaders, say, in those governments would prefer different types of economic systems. Bullet point number 3, in a command system, the economic questions are answered by the government. Bullet point number 4, in a market system, The economic questions are answered by the interaction of buyers and sellers. So these two bullet points right here, bullet point 3 and 4, command system and market system, those are two types of economies that we will be looking at today. Let's keep going. Bullet point 5. Most countries today have a mixed economic system, which means part of the economy is driven by the interactions of buyers and sellers. So, people like you and I, where we buy goods from other people who are selling them. And part of it is controlled by the government. Okay. So, this bullet point makes me think that maybe a mixed economy is a mixture of command and market. I don't know. We'll see. Bullet point number 6. Not all mixed economic systems are the same. They differ in the amount of power and authority the government has over the economy. Please flip to your word cards. We're going to go through 6 word cards today, and we're really going to focus in on the first 4, 11, 12, 13, and 14. We will read 15 and 16, but the ones we really want to put all of our focus into is 11 through 14. Number 11, command economy, an economic system in which the 3 main economic questions are answered by the government. Example, in a command economy, prices are set by the government. Number 12, market economy, an economic system in which the 3 main economic questions are answered by the interaction of buyers and sellers. Example, in a market economy, prices are set when sellers and buyers agree on the price for a good or service. Word card 13, circular flow, the pattern in which goods and services and resources flow in the marketplace. Example, in the circular flow model, you can see how money travels from people to businesses and back to people again. And there will be more on this word card in a little bit in the lesson. You guys will have a video outside of the lesson to watch that'll help describe circular flow a little bit more to you. Word card 14, mixed economy, a combination of command and market economies. Example, most countries in the world today have mixed economies. And I'll give you guys a little hint here. The United States is one of them. 15, monopoly. Not just a game. A situation in which one company controls an industry or is the only provider of a product or service. Example, the company had a monopoly on tires, so it could set the prices high and did not have to worry about competition. So think about the game really quick. If you've played Monopoly, you're trying to buy as many parts of the board as you can. And so if you own the whole board and you have hotels on everything, well, then everyone's got to pay you a bunch of money. Same thing here. In the real economic world, monopoly is where a company or corporation controls every part of the industry. And lastly, number 16, regulation, a government rule with the force of law that states what may or may not be done or how something must be done. Example, many government regulations are aimed at protecting the health and safety of consumers. And we'll look at regulations in a little bit here as well. Please flip open to your next page, Command and Market Economies. We've got a reading here that we're going to go through. And I'm going to zoom in for you guys here. I'm going to read this out loud to you. We'll just go through it. I'll stop after each of the types of economies just to give you guys a little synopsis of what it is we just read, and then we'll continue on. So here we go. Command and Market Economies. Products such as bread, meat, clothing, refrigerators, and houses are produced and sold in virtually every country of the world today. The production methods and resources used to make these products are often very similar in different countries. For example, bread is made by bakers using flour and water, often with salt, sugar, and yeast added, and then baked in ovens. Once the bread has been baked, the loaves are sold to consumers in stores that, at least superficially, can look very much alike, even in countries with very different kinds of economic systems. Command economies and clothing. Despite these apparent similarities, there are many differences. Let's compare the market economies of North America, Western Europe, and Japan to the command economies found in the former Soviet Union, Eastern Europe, and parts of Asia over the past half century. The process is used to determine what products to make, how to make them, what prices to charge for them, and who will consume them are starkly different. To see those differences more clearly, let's look at how production and sales decisions are made in two kinds of systems for a specific kind of product: shirts and blouses. In command economies, government committees of economic planners, production experts, and political officials establish production levels for these goods and designate which factories will produce them. These central planning committees also establish the prices for the shirts and blouses, as well as the wages for the workers who make them. It is this set of central decisions that determines the quantity, variety, and prices of clothing and other products. So let's pause here real quick. In command economies, we've got the government making all of the decisions. Who's going to produce the goods, where the goods are going to be produced, and how will consumers consume those goods. Okay, so everything within this type of economic system is designed by the government and put in place by the government. Let's keep going here. Three problems often occur within this system: poor planning decisions, the inability to respond efficiently to change, and limited choices for consumers. Since production and distribution decisions are made centrally, there tends to be more surpluses and shortages. A shortage is when the products sell out quickly, disappearing from store shelves. Products sell out quickly when factories fail to meet their production quotas, or the central planning group underestimates how many shirts people want to buy at the prices they set. In either case, unless the planners take steps to increase production, raise prices, or both, the shortages will continue. Surpluses occur when the central planning group underestimates how many shirts people want to buy at the prices they set. Moreover, it is difficult for central planners to respond efficiently to changes in the economy because decisions are made centrally. Such decision making requires large amounts of information. Gathering and responding to that information takes time, which makes it difficult to respond to changing economic conditions efficiently. Finally, the choices of products tend to be limited. When central planners make the decisions on the varieties of product they produce and what workers get paid, there is no incentive for individuals and businesses to be innovative, which limits choices. So, again, we see here when the government is controlling what is going to be produced, how it's going to be produced, who has access to it, there really is no room for companies or factories to create new technologies or be innovative or create new ideas here. Okay. Last paragraph. As the number of people living in the command economies increases, along with the number and sophistication of new products, it becomes harder and harder for central planners to avoid or eliminate shortages of the many things consumers want, or surpluses of the products they don't. With more products, more people, and rapidly changing production technologies, the central planners face an explosion in the number of decisions they have to make, and in the number of places and ways where something could go wrong in their overall plan for the national economy. So, command economies have full government control. They control production, so the quantity of goods being produced. They control the variety of the goods, so like what colors or types. They control the prices. And if we as the consumer don't like it, too bad, so sad. That's what's being produced. Sounds fun, right? Not really. Let's take a look at a market economy now and try to figure out some of the differences here. Again, please follow along with me as I read through this. Market economies and clothing. Big shortages and big surpluses do not happen in the market economies because economic decision making is different. To begin with, no central government planning group decides how many shirts or blouses to manufacture or what styles and colors. Decisions in a market economy are made through the interaction of buyers and sellers. Anyone, individual or company, can decide to produce and sell shirts and blouses in a market economy. Many will do just that if they believe they can sell these products at prices high enough to cover their costs and earn more money than they can doing something else. This leads to direct competition between different firms making and selling shirts and blouses. Competition is one of the basic reasons why there are generally so many different styles, fabrics, and brands of clothing for consumers to choose from in market economies. So let's pause and think about our own wardrobe for a second. Think about all of the shirts that you have. Um, Lots of different colors, lots of different brands, lots of different patterns and designs, and all of that is based on competition. The companies look at what consumers, us, are willing to buy, and then they produce shirts that look and feel like what it is we want to buy. Let's keep going here. Of course, if consumers decide to buy just one kind of shirt and blouse month after month and year after year, producers will soon learn that there was no reason to produce any other kind. But that simply hasn't happened where people are allowed to choose from a wide selection of clothing products. Another key point about market economies is that the prices for shirts, blouses, and other products sold in stores aren't set by a central government planning committee. Instead, every seller is free to raise or lower prices according to changing market conditions. For example, if one kind of shirt becomes very popular for a time, and stores are worried about running out until they can get more, the store may raise the price of such shirts at least until new shipments arrive. So, what we're talking about here is supply and demand. If the supply of a specific shirt that everybody wants goes down and demand is still really high because everybody wants it, the price is going to go up. And people will be willing to pay higher prices for that shirt because there's not as many of them. They're rare items. Let's keep going. This price increase accomplishes two things at the same time. First, by making this kind of shirt more expensive compared to other shirts and products, some consumers will choose to buy fewer of them and more of the other items. Second, sellers are affected. The higher price goes directly to those who produce and sell the shirts, not the government. So, the higher price results in an increase in the profits of firms that make and sells this shirt. The increase in profits enables those firms to produce and sell more of those shirts. Firms that make other products also see those higher profits going to the shirt producers, which leads some firms to stop making something else and start making those popular shirts. So, again, in this paragraph, we see them talking about more competition in a market economy. Last two paragraphs here. For all of these reasons, consumers buying fewer shirts, current shirt makers producing more shirts, and other firms deciding to begin to make shirts, any shortage will soon be eliminated. In a market economy, it doesn't take a central planning committee to make any of these decisions. In fact, the process happens faster and, in some sense, automatically, precisely because consumer and producer decisions are decentralized. Market economies provide no magic solution to economic problems, however. Government plays a critical role in helping correct problems that can't be fully solved by a system of private markets. In a market economy, costs associated with production are not always paid by the producer. For example, if pollution is a byproduct of manufacturing, it may not be factored into the price that a consumer pays for the product. These external elements are passed on to others who are not partly who are not party to the production or consumption of goods and services. Governments play a role in addressing negative externalities through laws, regulations, or taxes. Moreover, market economies are not necessarily stable or fair to everyone. They are not immune to problems such as inflation, a continual increase in the price of goods, unemployment, pollution, poverty, and barriers to international trade. The primary difference between command and market economies, however, is the extent to which the central government controls the economy. All right, so a market economy here. Little bit different. Sounds a little bit more familiar. Okay. The economy depends largely on us as buyers and sellers that are selling their goods. So, what are we willing to pay for those goods? How much are sellers willing to charge for those goods? And if sellers or producers are producing a good that just isn't getting bought by anybody, it's going to kind of wean out of existence here. They're not going to continue to produce it anymore. Okay, so what we have to remember with a market economy is that it's largely dependent on what the mass public is willing to buy at a specific price. Okay, so your first activity here is on the next sheet in your handout titled Comparing Command and Market Economies. If you don't have a copy of the handout, just next to each letter on a blank piece of paper, write down letters A through L, and then next to each letter, just write command or market. So the directions here, read each of the following characteristics and decide whether they describe a command or a market economy, and place an X in the correct box on the chart. Okay, so again, for letter A, there's a great amount of economic freedom. Is that an example of command or market? Put an X in that box. Once you finish the chart, you have 3 questions to answer on your own. How are the 3 main economic questions answered in a command economy? How are the 3 main questions answered in a market economy? And then number 4, over the last 50 years, some countries that had a command economy have moved towards creating a market economy. Why do you think this is true? At this point, please pause the video, fill out your chart, and when you have it completed and the questions completed, you can press play. Okay, let's take a look at the answers here to comparing command and market economies. We'll start off with letter A. There's a great amount of economic freedom. We see that in a market economy. B, the number of a certain kind of good produced, like shirts, is determined by the government. We see that as a command economy. C, there's a lot of competition. This happens in market economies. D, shortages and surpluses of goods are common problems. Command economies. E, anyone can produce and sell shirts. Market economies. F, the price of shirts is set by the government. Command economies. Hopefully we're seeing the trend here. G, there is an overall plan for the national economy created by the government. Aha, so the trend is government for command. We're not just going back and forth here. H, sellers can raise or lower prices whenever they want. Market economy. I, consumers play a large role in decisions about what to produce. Remember, we are the consumers, we buy the goods. Market economy. J, there is often very little variety in goods since there is no incentive for innovation. Command economy. K, the government does not play a major role in the economy. That would be a market economy. And lastly, L, wages for workers are set by the government. Command economy. All right, so at this point in the lesson, I'm going to have you guys pause this lesson video and watch the circular flow model video on our website. If you need to take a quick look at where to find it, I'll share my screen with you really quick here. So on our website, the circular flow model video, click here for the circular flow model video. You can just click that and watch it. It's a quick, like 7 or 8 minute video. After that, I would like you guys to read the next 2 pages in your handout looking at government regulations. So we're first going to look at what could happen if we had a pure market economy, virtually no government regulation on the first sheet. And then on the second sheet, it just gives you a really quick, brief synopsis of some of the regulations that we have with our government. So go ahead and pause, watch the video, read those 2 sheets, and then we'll get into our activity. We're on to our second activity here, the economic system continuum. That's on the next page after all of those regulations that we see in the US government that I asked you guys to read through. So here's your directions. After reading each letter description, the letter represents a country, place each letter A, B, C, D, or E on the line below. There is an answer sheet at the end of the handout for you to check your answers. So what I'd like you to do is read through each country description and then determine where you think it goes on the line below. Do you think it's closer to a pure command economy, or do you think it's closer to a pure market economy, or somewhere in the middle? Try to put them in order if you can. At this point, pause the video, get your continuum filled out, and then hit play and we'll quickly go through them. Okay, let's take a look and see how we did here on our economic system continuum. Country A, Government owns or controls most of the factors of production, almost all land and capital, and dominates the economy by answering all three basic economic questions. There is some private enterprise. For example, farmers may work small plots of land and farm them for profit. So, country A, we're seeing mostly government control. We'd place that close to our pure command economy on our economic system continuum. And country A is China. Country B, almost all business is privately owned. Government, however, provides administrative guidance. For example, an economic planning agency channels production into areas seen as vital to the nation's economic future. The government regulates banking activity and has the power to regulate interest at commercial banks. So, when we look at country B, that's going to be closer to our pure market economy. Obviously, not all the way over to a pure market economy because we do see some government control still. Country B is Japan. Country C, the great majority of businesses are privately owned and operated. Government plays a role mainly through regulation and providing some public goods and services, such as national defense, military, and public education, school. Country C is the United States, and it falls a little bit closer to our pure market economy because we're seeing a lot of businesses being privately owned and operated. Country D, the majority of production is carried out by private business. However, in an effort to distribute wealth more evenly, there is an extensive social welfare system. This system provides healthcare, housing allowances, elderly care, and monetary support for children, etc. High taxes, sometimes as much as 80% of income, are used to provide these services and redistribute the nation's wealth. So, with country D, we see a lot of production coming from private businesses, but the government has a lot of control through this social welfare system. So we'd place country D a little bit closer to the pure command economy, not quite as close as country A, right? But still on the other side of the continuum. And country D is Sweden. Country E, the majority of production is in private hands, but there is government ownership of a few sectors such as railway and electricity. The government may also suggest or indicate what it considers desirable production targets for private industries. So, country E seems like it would fall right in the middle here. Majority of the production is done by private businesses, private companies, but the government can suggest what is being produced. So when we look at a country like country E, we're looking at a mixed economy, right in the middle of pure command, pure market, and most economies around the world today are mixed economies. They've got a little bit of each in them. Country E is France. All right, so the final activity for you guys today is the last reading in your handout. It's titled, What is Government's Role in the Economy? Your task is to read through that. You can fill in the boxes as well as you go through it. A lot of analysis questions and asking you guys to analyze the author's viewpoints or arguments. The questions on your Google survey come directly from that reading. So a lot of the analysis questions you will see on the Google survey as well. So please don't forget to fill out the Google survey. Also, there is an extension for you guys on our website. It is the current event again for this week, just to keep you guys in tune with what's going on in the world around us right now. Please feel free to use that as an extension. Fill out the Google survey just to let us know what you watched or read. There's a link to CNN 10 on there as well, so you guys can watch CNN 10, or if you feel like going and finding a different article or story, you can do that as well. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you next week.